I really want to visit a long, skinny West African country. Oh, sorry, Togo. I'm going to Benin. Welcome to Benin, an African nation known mostly today for exporting a lot of gold and cotton. But how did they get this way? Did I hear someone say slavery, colonization, and communism? Yup, if we go back a long time ago, no, not the dinosaurs, we would see that modern-day Benin was home to many different tribal groups and city-states. They were weak and always getting bullied by their neighbors. But then, in the 1600s, the Kingdom of Dahomey was formed and they were not going to be messed with. They created a highly militarized society with elite soldiers, which historians have coined Black Sparta. They constantly got into wars with their neighbors to assert their dominance over the area. This happened to be at the same time that the Portuguese showed up looking for slaves. The Dahomey would fight wars and sell captured prisoners as slaves. These slaves were generally sold to plantations in Brazil, Haiti, and the US. Eventually, their entire economy was completely dependent on the slave trade. That's not good, especially when slavery became very bad in the 1800s. Dahomey began to lose its control over the area, and soon the country was under the control of France. France was a bit nicer and abolished the slave trade, but still used the colony for resource extraction. To this day, Benin's official language is French. After years of colonial rule, Benin gained its independence in 1960, but it was marred by many coups and regime changes. Then, in 1971, Matthew Kettiko came to power and established a Marxist government. The government seized most businesses and private property in the country. Benin began to form ties with countries like the USSR, China, and North Korea. And even to this day, Russia is still a strong ally of Benin. However, during this time, many foreign investors and businesses began to pull out of the country. The economy was starting to go downhill, so Benin came up with a not-so-great idea. They agreed to have the USSR and France dump their nuclear waste in the country. Eventually, Kettiko began to realize that the whole communism thing really wasn't working out and began to open up the country to foreign business. The communist government collapsed in 1991 and some not-so-free elections were held afterward. It wasn't until 2006 that the first free and fair elections were held. The Beninese people elected Yayi Boni to represent them as president. It sounds like some things are getting better, but years of poor economic policy has left Benin's economy lagging behind. Benin's economy is still heavily dependent on agriculture and resource extraction. The most important crop in Benin is cotton. Cotton accounts for around 25% of all of Benin's exports alone. Benin is also situated along Africa's Gold Coast and is home to hundreds of gold mines. It's one of the largest producers of gold in the world, and the metal makes up a significant amount of Benin's exports. The problem is that foreign companies own the rights to many of these gold mines, and the people of Benin do not get to profit from these great resources. Even with this, the people of Benin are industrious and hardworking people. They are split along religious lines, with Muslims living in the northern part of the country and Christians in the southern. Around 20% of the population also practices voodoo and other traditional African religions. If you ever want to visit Benin, make sure to travel to its largest city, Cotonou, or the capital, Porto Novo. Well, that was a wild adventure of cotton, gold, and communism, and if you made it all the way to the end of this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for the next video on the South American country of Bolivia.